Welcome D20 players. This video contains tips for running Chapter 8, the final chapter of Phandelver and Below the Shattered Obelisk. Project lead for this adventure was Amanda Hammond. Here we have the adventure on the screen. I'm going to zoom out to fit the entire map. You can see it's pretty extensive here. The adventure begins either in Phandalin, if the adventurers have returned to Phandalin for some reason after into Chapter 7, or as the adventurers enter the Briny Maze. Mind Flayer Fanatics, the adventurers are chasing, and they enter the Briny Maze. They go through the Brine Pool into the Endless Void, where eventually they come to Ilvaash's Anima, where the party will catch up with them finally. So as the party's exploring the Briny Maze, which is like this enormous inside of a brain, you can, if they did not go back to Phandalin, give them visions, give them nightmares, give them dreams of the creeping transformations that are happening in Phandalin. You can have things happening to them from the adventure, the characters themselves. Don't forget, like I did when you run this, there are benefits for each lobe of the Briny Maze, each lobe of the brain. Make yourself some notes to make sure you keep those. There's several factions that the party can come into agreements with, basically. So you have over here in Area 7 a couple Githyanki camped out. The party can befriend them, help them give back their silver sword that they had lost back here in Area 5. Then the Githyanki can share some info with the party. There is, in Area B17, a dragon that the party can befriend. Now, this really doesn't do much for them in regards to chasing the Fanatics, except that they will know the Fanatics went on to the Brine Pool. But they can also kind of have a battle between the dragon and these Zealot and this Flesh Meld, which are pretty dangerous opponents, but the party doesn't have to fight them. And they got to kind of avoid falling into the trap of any extra encounters here, because they need to get to the end in one piece as quickly as they can. Another area that you'll want to change up a bit, I think, is in Area 10, where there's this book that the party can help the Spectre decipher or figure out, but it has to take 24 hours to do that. Now, any party who's paying attention in time is not going to want to do that. So if you want the party to have the benefit of the book, and it's a nice benefit for facing the Mind Flayers at the end, I would reduce that to like an hour. If your party already has lots of high intelligence save characters and a paladin in the mix, then you probably don't need the party to get access to that book. Finally, there's an Arcanaloth in Area 21 that can share some other information and information about some more foes the party might face beyond the Light of the Star and the Endless Void. There is some flumps the party can befriend and might come to a comedic end because they are way outmatched in this adventure. And then once the party's done exploring the brain, and it takes longer than you think it might, because these doors that the party has to open up with the various rods are not easy to figure out how to open. And once you do, you have to do a lot of exploration. You pretty much have to explore the whole place to get through the place. There's no like fast track to the end. And don't forget that spells can't change the walls or the construction of the place, so you can't just pass wall through it. So once they've got all the way through there, they have the Briny Pool, and they should have some evidence that the Mind Flayers went through the Briny Pool. There is an extremely, extremely dangerous great worm there. You know, that you might need to bring another character for a party member, because this thing can chomp someone up and then just disappear. So that can be a kind of a tragic end to someone who got this far, but they'll want to be as careful as they can to avoid that great worm. Once they step out of the Briny Pool, they'll step into the Endless Void in this area here, the Crystal Dome. There are some prisoners they can rescue here from the Crystal Dome, and these prisoners can share some information about the Mind Flayers the party could face later. Finally, they can explore the rest of the area here beyond the Light of the Star inside the Endless Void. And then the last they'll come to is Ilvaash's Anima. They'll face the Mind Flayer Fanatics there. In their escape, they'll face actually a refraction of Ilvaash, which will take place back as they're coming out of the Brine Pool to get out of there. And then finally, they'll return to a hero's welcome to Phandalin. And that is the conclusion of a grand campaign that spans levels 1 through 11 for the party. So the levels for this part of the adventure. The characters start out at level 10, and when they finally reach the entrance to the Endless Void, after they get through the Briny Pool here, they can go to a level 11. Challenges for level 10, Deadly Threshold is about 25 total CR for a 5-character party, 31 total CR for a 5-character party at level 11. I did just a few tweaks here, because it's really a game of attrition for the characters here, so there's no reason to beef everything up. Some things I tweaked down because they were just annoying. So Area B6, I do recommend using 5 Wraiths there. That'll be a tough encounter, though, if they trigger that one. The Crystal Dome is one that I did tweak down a little bit, because boy, those Shield Guardians don't do a lot of damage and can take a lot of damage, and that just makes a slog in the counter. So I'd recommend just doing 4 there instead of 5. In the Occluded Miasma, my party never really got to this in any detail. We kind of went through it pretty quick, but are the invisible stalkers going to be visible in here because they're displacing the cloud if you're right up on them? Maybe. Keep that in mind. That might help a party face these things, which are really annoying to fight. Otherwise, if you can't see them. Then finally, the area of Ilvaash's Anima. If the party has not recovered some of the obelisks, there could be a couple extra mind flayers here. That'd be killer, because I mean it's hard enough as it is. So you might consider not having those, even if the party didn't get all the pieces of the obelisk. Then, if the party didn't get got all the pieces they could, then they probably have the mind flayers spread out at the start of this encounter. Try as much as you can to get these mind flayers to get back to the central chamber, so all three of them are in there at the start of an encounter with the party there as they're performing the ritual. So you get this amazing image of the mind flayers performing the ritual with the black obelisk. Just a great climactic encounter for the campaign. Although it's kind of not the climactic encounter, because once that finishes, the next encounter is going to be with the refraction of Ilvaash as the party's fleeing. And if that worm is still there, it'll join that fight at the end of round 3, and that'll be a hard fight. Both of these last 2 fights require a party that has really good intelligence saves, or at least someone with intelligence save. Otherwise, they're going to get wiped out. Hopefully, they've been thinking and playing smartly. If for some reason you're running this as a one-shot with a party that's kind of coming in without any knowledge ahead of time, definitely advise them bring some intelligence save characters. We actually had a player who played a ranger who used resilient intelligence. You almost never see that taken, but it paid off, because if they hadn't done that, they might not have made it out. So the pacing for this, when I ran it in 4-hour sessions, we got partway through the Briny maze on the first session, session 2 the rest of the way, and then a little bit into Beyond the Lightless Star, and then the last session was the fight with the mind flayers and the return. That's assuming a pretty fast pace. If you do a more relaxed pace, you could go 4, maybe 5 sessions for this adventure. The maps, all these maps you're looking at here are from Heroic Maps. I'll put a link in the description below so you can go right to the product page for these maps. They are, of course, very, very beautiful, and I highly recommend those. The music that I used, I'll put a link to, or a description of the music for each chapter I'd recommend, and it's all built into Roll20, so nothing to go get there, but it's all from Tabletop Audio. Some good stuff there. And then these tokens, a lot of unique tokens to this part of the adventure, especially some of the mind flayers at the end. So I will put a link to these tokens I created so you can grab them on your own. Both the named version and the unnamed version will be there for your usage. And then lastly, there's some knowledge about Ilvaash the party might know, and some knowledge about the Githyanki Knights that they might know. I'll put that in the description below too, so you can grab that and use that if you like. That is the end of the campaign. It's really some pretty powerful combats at the end. Ideally the party definitely beats this one at the obelisk and shatters the obelisk and saves Phandalin. And then if they die on the way out to the refraction of Ilvaash that they have to face at the end, kind of a heroic way to end it and end the campaign and go. Not as good as getting all the way back home, but at least they saved their home before they went back home. Let me know how it went if you ran it. I'd love to see how different groups did it, if they all made it all the way through, how the fight with Ilvaash went. Please like, subscribe, comment, tip, tell a friend, and please check out this linked video when you have a chance. Thank you very much.